Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new edition of the Test Smarter, Not Harder. Today, we're going to dive into one of the hottest topics that we have in the tech industry and beyond, which is artificial intelligence. So, as we already know, AI is revolutionizing the tech world, and it's only going to get bigger from here. So, today, with our panel of experts, we're going to explore a little bit about this massive AI boom and especially how it is transforming the testing field. Now, first, if you want to keep up to date with MagnifAI's news, you can follow us on social networks by scanning the QR code that will appear here on the screen. Now, let's start presenting our panel of experts. All right, so first of all, I would like to introduce Nahuel Franchi, which is MagnifAI's Executive Director. So hi, Nahuel, and to kind of kick things off a little bit, so besides being passionate about AI, so you work around this technology on a daily basis. Can you tell us a little bit about how AI has influenced the speed of delivery value to customers in your industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, thank you, Shay, for hosting what's now our flagship event, where we aim to have experts like this amazing panel that we are having today. So we're really grateful. And each quarter we try to pick a theme. And this quarter, we couldn't have chosen a better topic like generative AI, and it's in everyone's mind. So we're really excited. At MagnifAI, for the ones that are maybe not as aware, AI is at the core of our vision and what we do. And our belief is that in an era with more and more tools for creators, we really have the responsibility of connecting enterprise-ready AI tools for the quality engineering field specifically. And that's what moves us every day. Now, some of our customers and some of the impact that we see on a daily basis, and that it's a theme that we'll continue to talk during the day. Some of our customers are using some of our computer vision models, for instance, to gain efficiencies in hundreds of hours that they were using, leveraging manually before, to gain back those hours and focus them on what really matters for these businesses. And that, and towards their time to market, it helps them improve weeks. And, they're leveraging AI in concrete ways to improve their automation and focuses on what their business really cares, right? But beyond that, in particular for myself, I'm really passionate around psychology and high performance in general. And I'm really amazed about this era that we're living, right? So I think this is something that, humanity will remember in the future. And I'm especially excited on how accessible this technology is now for anyone that is a creator in general, in the quality engineering field or elsewhere, right? Obviously, there's things to be learned. There's concerns. There's new standards to be created. But I'm definitely a huge optimist, and I'm stoked about the huge opportunity specifically that this represents for the testing arena, the quality engineering field in general, as a complement for human capabilities. So I'm really excited.
Great. So it sounds like you're truly passionate about the potential of AI and the impact it can have in your field, in quality engineering. And I think this vision about, well, you have these generative models and they're creating a lot of things. So how do we test that? How do we keep that in control? How do we tools to the people? It's really the right direction for that. And I do believe that it's key, as you mentioned, to understand that this is a technology that is here to stay, and we must make a kind of mindset shift so that we can leverage the potential and get an edge over competitors without kind of falling into the problems or riskier situations that we will discuss later with the panel. So talking about our panel, this is what we're going to explore with our speakers today. So let's go into that. So welcome back. And here we are with Michael Feathers, Director of R7K Research and Conveyance and Chief Architect at Globant, Josie Baik, VP of Technology and Data Solutions Partner at Globant, and Leonardo, Quality Engineering Technical Director of MagnifAI. So welcome to you all. And first, to kickstart the discussion a little bit, can you tell us what you feel or you think is driving this recent AI boom, and what are some of the, let's say, key advancements in AI technology that have contributed, that got us here to this boom? Do you want to start, Michael?
Yeah, sure. Seems like the two key advancements really are GPT, generative pre-trained transformers, and then also diffusion models. And it's kind of like these are two relatively recent technologies that have basically been built on the back of neural network research, which has been going on for like, say, 20, 30 years. But there have been some really key advancements in these areas, and it's been really surprising to us to basically see just how well these models actually kind of like mimic, in a sense, the way that people think. It's kind of like they basically show cognitive capabilities that we just really didn't anticipate. And it's an interesting thing for us, in this, to realize that the engineering is advancing and we're moving forward with the engineering. But quite often what we're basically discovering is basically things we didn't expect, based upon the things that we do, right? We basically do the engineering and discover we didn't anticipate this, and then we keep moving forward, further and further. But those are the two key technologies that fed into this.
All right, thank you, Michael. Josie, what do you think about this?
Well, I know that we all know that AI has been around and present in impressive technologies like the autonomous vehicle, but I think we're really seeing the boom right now through the increased translation of AI into consumer-friendly packages like ChatGPT, like Mike mentioned, Stable Diffusion, which is an image generator that allows you to type in a few keywords and it'll generate an image for you, and even like the fun and hyper-realistic face filters on TikTok that we're all having a lot of fun with. This is, increasing the awareness of the AI by the public and the impact of it on their everyday life, which is driving the demand and investments by organizations to incorporate it better into their products and workflow. But I also think that it's like a perfect storm that's led to this productization. It's going to be the maturity of the field and research combined with the advancements in cloud computing and the abundance of data as part of kind of this key equation.
Right. Thanks, Josie. Leo, what are your perspectives?
Yes, totally. I think that AI is having a moment right now, and it's not just because it's really good at winning chess games like in the 80s. A lot of factors have come together to make AI the talk of the town. As Josie said, there's more data out there than ever before, which is like a catnip to AI algorithms. And let's not forget about those computers that are the envy of gamers everywhere. So I think that they are helping AI crunch through the data faster than ever. But the real stars here are the machine learning algorithm. They are the ones making it possible for AI to understand human language, recognize faces, and do all sorts of other cool stuff. And because of all of these factors, AI is making waves across a wide range of industry, from healthcare to finance to transportation. I think that AI is providing us a real valuable ally for our daily task.
All right, thanks. So it seems that you're covering different aspects, from the transformers and the models that have been kind of lately of fame, the infrastructure, data, and availability for training those, and kind of the specialized machine learning models. Clearly, there's been a convergence of these factors that created a perfect storm for the AI boom. And at least for the foreseeable future, this is going to be continuing in the coming years. Now, this is on the technical side. This is what feeds this boom. So how do you think AI is going to be impacted in the business world? How will it affect jobs and the workforce, which is going to be kind of a huge concern moving from now on? So, Michael.
Yeah, it's very interesting because to me, I kind of look at it like being an extension of what happened with the internet, right? So it's kind of like there have been basically many people in the world who basically have areas of expertise, and it's kind of hard to go and get in touch with them. With the internet, we kind of democratized information in a way, right? You can basically see your doctor, but you can also basically look up symptoms online and basically see what some website will tell you about those sorts of things, right? So with AI, we're kind of going a little bit further with this. The thing that's kind of a bit different is it's not just expertise that's kind of being automated, but it's also the capacity of AI to actually do things for you, right? Which is really kind of fascinating. You can say, I want a picture of this, and it generates a picture of this. Or I basically design me a product, and this kind of thing. So it's interesting because the immediate effect is you look at this and say, wow, this is going to go and displace a lot of people. But I think the interesting thing is it really is one of these things where basically it unleashes an incredible amount of creativity. We basically are able to go and actually sort of converse with AI and basically work with it in order to basically just do things that we never really anticipated being able to do. And I think, beyond that, we can talk about quality assurance and stuff like that. But I think the key thing is to recognize that we're still in control, and we basically need to make sure that the things that are being generated for us really are fit for purpose. And that's going to be an important thing going forward.
Yeah, I think those two elements you mentioned are critical, the conversation and fit for purpose. This is going to be quite hard. Josie, what do you think about the impact on the business world?
I'm going to echo a lot of what Mike just mentioned. We already see a lot of the effects taking place where AI is being leveraged in businesses for automation to increase efficiencies. And it's enabling them to, keeping to the theme of the event, work harder, work smarter, not harder. And I think that it's going to free up a lot of resources and costs to allow businesses to focus on creativity and really drive an innovation-based economy. And echoing Michael about learning from history, we know with the introduction of the personal computer, the internet, the smartphone, and whatnot, just like that, we know that AI is going to change yet again how we access information and how we communicate. Like the rise of social media and the many opportunities that it's created, I think that new industries will be built due to the rise of AI, and it will create new jobs. I just wish I could tell my parents when I was a kid that playing video games can be a job.
Yeah, it was probably for the best that I didn't knew that at the moment. but so yeah, we know the businesses will see a lot of this impact, but there's sometimes a lot of uncertainty on exactly how companies trying to think about how to adopt that. So what opportunities do you see like for further AI adoption businesses, and kind of what are the potential risks and challenges associated with those opportunities?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest thing that comes to mind is personalization. I know we're all familiar with it from the evolution of it, from banner ads to cookies to segmentations and customer journey, etc. I think with AI, we see an opportunity to even furthering this into hyper personalization, where you're not part of a segment, you're an individual, and you're catered to that. But with that, I think comes risk and challenges. Where do we draw the line between targeted and invasion of privacy? I know that there has been a lot of big wins with privacy principles through legislations like GDPR and consumer protection standards set by the ISO, but there is a lack of regulation right now for AI at the moment. And quite frankly, a lot of damage can be done without PII. So I think this, leads a little bit into the topic of ethical AI, which is a whole other conversation. So we'll save that for later. But some other opportunities, I think, would be in the field of testing, but not just code, but for R&D in developing new drugs or new features for heavy equipment or any other idea that would otherwise be really costly to do in real life. And with that, again, comes challenge. You mentioned, we don't see this dying down in the near future. And I think that that's businesses are going to really see that in talent recruitment. I think the application is still new and the demand is too high at the moment, and the workforce isn't going to be able to keep up with that in the near future.
Yeah, I think that's a very important idea, how to keep up with that and how to best utilize this for our good and not just our desires. Like I would hope for an hyper-personalized service to give me what I need, not just what I want, because that might not be aligned, but that's another whole kind of worms. So, but how do you think that AI is allowing leaders to kind of disrupt their sectors? Because we're thinking about in what ways can companies use these technologies to kind of reinvent themselves? And how these technologies are helping to unlock better relationships with customers, employees, stakeholders, as well as boosting their creativity and innovation, which is going to be a huge differential moving from now on. Michael, do you have a thought here?
Yeah, I think the main piece of advice I'd give is it feels like every company should have some kind of like an innovation lab or a working group on AI, basically going and looking at what current developments are and basically going and ideating about what's possible given their current set of products and services. I guess there's two phases to this, basically thinking about what could possibly disrupt their current business, which is a vitally important thing to go and consider. And the other thing is to basically sort of like think about how this technology can be leveraged for their particular industry. So Josie was talking about personalization. That's one particular area, but it's kind of like you really need people thinking out of the box and considering possibilities, because things can move very fast. And it's kind of, I think without having like a consolidated base within a company going and thinking about these issues, you get into this space where basically people are not quite coordinating and understanding what, or leveraging each other's information in order to go and sort of figure out what to do next.
That's a good point. Josie, do you have any particular thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Innovation, cultivating that disruption is important. But I think that on the flip side, leaders are really recognizing that it's not just the technical aspects of AI that's really driving this disruption, but it's also the excitement. It's motivating them, and it's really encouraging them to disrupt. The newness of it, it's challenging them to innovate and pioneer their field, and rethinking kind of their daily activities, tasks, and ideas into how they would apply that through the use of AI. And for customers in that relationship, I think, of course, we talked about personalization, all of that will definitely lead to an enhanced customer experience, and that goes without saying. But I think driving back to my first point of how public awareness is really driving the boom, customers are very curious and they want to see how businesses are going to apply AI. And so they're paying a really close attention. And I think that all of that engagement is going to lead to something really exciting.
Yeah, and it seems like even more than curious, now they're expecting that. It's like, okay, and what do you have with AI? It's part of the menu. I want it.
What can I chat into, right? Everybody wants to chat now.
Absolutely. So thank you for this very interesting insights into the current state of AI. So now we are experiencing this emergence of a new kind of AI that has gained this widespread adoption in our daily lives. We're well aware of it. We all know it. And I would say that we have all adopted it or are in the process of adopting it in our day-to-day. Even if it's ChatGPT, even if it's some competitor, even if it's through a service, through Snapchat or something that we don't even realize that it's there, but we are adopting that in a way or another. It could be open source, it could be closed source, which is another discussion. It could be things like ChatGPT, DALL-E, Bard, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and many, many others. And they're constantly emerging there. And now we're going to be leaning towards our learn track to explore this topic a little bit further. All right, so welcome back. And now let's dive into a very interesting topic with Leo and Michael, which is software testing and the new generative AI paradigm, which, as we just saw, changes the game quite abruptly. So guys, can you explain to us how do AI generative platforms differ from traditional programming or software development tools? Leo, do you want to start with this?
Yes, sure. That's a very interesting topic. Well, I think that the AI generative platforms are different from traditional programming tools because, of course, they use machine learning algorithms to create code or text or other type of output based on the input data and patterns. And as we mentioned before, they learn from large data sets to create new outputs that mimic the patterns and structures found in the input data. But in contrast, traditional programming tools require manual coding and input, of course, from human developers. However, I think that generative AI presents two major challenges in the field of the software testing. The first challenge is how to test systems that implement some kind of generative AI, which involves developing the appropriate test strategies, the frameworks, test cases, to, of course, to ensure that the results that the algorithm is provided is accurate and reliable. And maybe in some cases the output is not predictable, right? I'm saying that it's not predictable because when we traditionally design a test script or test strategy, we are based on different kind of patterns, right? I think that we are going to talk about this in the next sessions, but the important topic is that the output that the generative AI generates is not predictable. predictable. So the testing strategy, of course, should change. And I think that the second challenge is how to use generative AI to test the systems, which involves leveraging the capabilities of the AI to automatically generate test cases, test data, and even test scripts. The same as I mentioned before, when we use AI for coding up, instead of using AI for coding applications, we are applying the same principle to for the test scripts that we were for testing web application or mobile applications. I think that the both challenges require a deep understanding of AI techniques, the different kind of algorithms that allow us to apply these kind of technologies in the field of software testing. And also there are some considerations and potential risk and limitations that we need to take into consideration.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good point, because if I'm thinking on the case of, let's say, an image generator, and I'd say generate an image of a banana riding a scooter, well, detecting whether that was generated is a whole different kind of approach than detecting that an image was generated, that the input was correct, and everything like that. But when I try to turn that around, I mean, generating random things is one thing, but can a generative AI platform be used to optimize the testing process? And if so, how?
Yes, totally, definitely. And generative AI platform can be used to optimize the testing process in several ways. First, it can be used to generate test cases automatically, which can save significant time and effort in the testing process. On the other hand, generative AI platforms can analyze existing code and identify potential issues and edge cases that maybe were not considered when we designed the test strategy. Of course, trying to cover the different aspects of the application of the testing strategy, and try to cover a wide range of scenarios, among other things. And actually, this apply in different kind of testings, not only in software testing, but also functional testing, load and performance, etc. Definitely, there are a lot of things that we can do better using artificial intelligence.
Right. And how do you think that generative AI platform impacts the quality assurance field in general? Like, considering the quality process are mainly based on deterministic, predictable, known, well, AI works probabilistic. This problem about if I'm trying to predict whether something is correct or not, then I'm not really testing quality. I'm trying to do inference. And so it seems kind of a misnomer, but how do you see that these works together?
Yes, totally, and that's a great question and challenge that we have in the field of software testing, because generative AI, as we mentioned before, can impact the quality assurance field by introducing a new way of approaching quality assurance processes. The traditional quality processes rely on deterministic and predictable and known approach, whereas the AI works probabilistically. So the idea is start finding patterns and relationships that might not be immediately apparent through a traditional method. So I think that the main challenge that we are changing our vision from a deterministic. We have different test cases, we have different test scenarios, pass, fail, according to the expected result. But the new challenge that we have is that expected result is not as obvious as before. So I think that this is the main challenge that we are facing when testing applications using generative AI.
Right. Michael, do you have a comment on what Leo was saying?
Yeah, I think it's great that we're basically approaching this now with tooling in the quality assurance area, the testing area, because the thing is, developers are basically using tools now to basically go and generate pieces of applications and stuff like this, and essentially probability is being used there, so it isn't solely deterministic. And so basically quality assurance becomes vitally important. So it's almost like this ratchet thing in a sense. It's kind of like, as we're introducing a little bit of indeterminism to go and get creativity and fast generation of systems on one side, we need to go and advance the tooling on the testing side in order to go and actually be able to accommodate that. And so these two things are going to kind of work in lockstep. And so, yeah, I think that's really the place where we are.
I think that you touched on something very important that maybe I want to stress out to make sure that people understand that when we're talking about generative AI, maybe creating code is one of the applications that we're talking about. It's something that seems very engineerily, let's say, and it's not just generating an image, and it's still generative AI. And if you can generate masses of code with this kind of tools that help you code faster, then how do you test that? And when we're talking about this idea of like probabilistically versus deterministically, that these models say, well, this is the likely next word in the sentence, and when you build that up to infinitum, it makes a lot of sense. But that's not the same as saying, well, should this be the word that's there? It's not. It's really a completely different set of perspective. Is this the correct result? Not a correct result. Is this what I wanted? Is not something that, well, yeah, it works, but it's not what I wanted. So I think these are very interesting inputs on the possible use of generative AI in the software testing process. So the testing field has been greatly impacted by AI, as the use of AI technologies in testing process has increased as well, significantly in recent years. So this has raised questions about the roles of the testers in these processes, with concerns about their job security and the needs for new skills and knowledge. And maybe you have read these reports about, well, which jobs will be most impacted by AI. It was funny to see that the CEO levels were kind of the most impacted ones, but that's kind of anecdotal. But the thing is, AI is changing the way testing is done, from test automation and data analysis to predictive testing and even self-testing systems. Now, I want to delve deeper into the impact of AI in the testing and visual testing areas in the next track. So welcome back, Michael, Nahuel, and Leo. And now on the track, let's talk about a little bit about how is AI revolutionizing the testing field. So Leo.
Yes, sure. Well, AI is revolutionizing the testing field by first automating many of the repetitive and time-consuming tasks involving the software testing, such as the test cases creation, test execution, and a test result analysis. Right? AI-powered testing tools can also identify and prioritize critical test cases, analyze the test results, and even predict defects before they occur. So one important thing that usually happens when we need to test an application is trying to prioritize the test cases that are strictly related to some specific change that was introduced in the code. So AI algorithms can help us with these tasks, trying to identify semantically maybe a commit or a change in the code, and then select the test cases that best suit for this validation. AI can even predict potential quality issues before they occur, analyzing historical data and identifying patterns that indicate potential problems. Maybe this applies for the load and performance testing area. Machine learning algorithms can identify and focus on critical test cases, again, allowing the testing team to perform more effective testing and increase the testing coverage and the selection of the test cases that are part of a specific regression, as we mentioned before. And also can analyze test data and provide valuable insight to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the testing process itself. For instance, I know it can suggest the best testing strategy for certain type of applications, or identify areas that require improvement to achieve more accurate results. And even working in the field of the static code, suppose that you are receiving user stories for the functional team, or you are receiving technical documents. We are applying here some kind of algorithms that help us to identify the important concept of the definitions of even the architecture, because we mentioned computer vision. So computer vision models can help us to identify the architecture of a framework, of an application, and then identify the critical steps and generate test cases based on that. So what I'm trying to say is that artificial intelligence can also help us a lot in order to validate the requirements and, of course, the quality of the requirement itself. As you can see, the integration of AI in the testing industry has significantly improved the efficiency and the effectiveness of the testing process. And that's resulting in a higher quality product and a better user experience.
I think you touch upon something very interesting, which is it's not just about, let's say, using AI to replace the task, in this case, whether something is correct or not, but all the things around that about, well, what do I test? How do I prioritize? What do I connect? How do I know what's likely to have changed? Like all the decisions that people are making and creating using their creativity or the knowledge and expertise to drive better the execution of the tasks themselves. So now this leads into the next question, which is, how can AI generative platforms be used to augment or enhance this human creativity and their knowledge and their expertise rather than replace it? So can we say that, can AI completely replace the need for human intervention, let's say in visual testing? So Michael, what do you think about this?
Well, it's kind of funny. I kind of go back to like the analogy of like, say, a hammer. When you look at a hammer, you kind of know how to use it, right? It's very obvious how to use a hammer or a spoon in the kitchen, something like this. But the thing is with AI, it's kind of like, there's like the immediate use that it has in front of you that you can basically, leverage. But there's also the thing of like, when you dig deeper, you basically discover more about its capabilities. And I think the artificial intelligence tools we have today are some of the most innovative tools that we've basically had in ages. So there's a lot of work that's involved in going and trying to say, well, can it do this for me? And then discovering, yes, it can do this for me, that kind of thing. So I think we're still at the beginning of this, and it's really a great, exciting period. There's going to be a tremendous amount of creativity involved in how to go and best use these tools. And I wouldn't be surprised to go and basically find people discovering, 3 or 6, months after a tool is released, an interesting way of going and working with it that wasn't anticipated by its designers, but yet goes and gives us incredible leverage in testing, for instance.
Yeah, that's correct. And I like the hammer kind of analogy in the sense that, yeah, at first you can think I can hammer a nail, but then, well, if I hit this this string, it makes a sound. And if I hit this metal, I can make a tool. And so we don't even know the kind of things we will be able to use it for. We're still kind of exploring, discovering that. But now, what's your view on how, whether they will replace the humans or how they can be used to enhance the human rather than replace it?
Oh boy, like how much time do we have? Do we have like 3 hours maybe? Like, I don't know. But I'm part of like my personal background. My academic background is in psychology, but I'm particularly curious on anything like human high performance in general. So sports, life, anything like that's kind of what I'm particularly curious. And obviously, when we talk about generative AI, typically kind of this is a proxy for, this large language model tools like BARD, GPT, and many others. In my humble opinion, yes, I believe this is going to tremendously accelerate what we're able to offer and save precious hours from teams and elevate really their skills, right? So more and more in the quality arena, what we try to focus is on folks that perhaps they have only manual QA skills and so on. It's enabling them and enhance the level of sophistication of the activities that they're able to do and do more complex work. So really, I feel that this is going to be a bridge for professionals. There's something that I recommend for anyone in the audience. Our CEO, Martin Migosha, wrote an amazing article a few days ago called Generative AI and the Dilemma of Our Future. So if anyone has not really seen it, I strongly recommend it. It's a very quick read, and which in my kind of, in the way I read it, it's really a way to synthesize Globant's and MagnifAI's vision around this matter, and I wholeheartedly agree with his vision. In a nutshell, and I'm not gonna kind of try to butcher what Martin very eloquently said, but my personal belief, and what is aligned with that theme, is that our focus in general needs to be, and in particular in MagnifAI, will be creating AI solutions with a mindset of expanding our capabilities, right? And enable really what makes us human, this ability to create, to connect with others, and, to feel and transform the world all around us, right? Really. And, in conversations that we're having with Michael and with Leo and with Josie in the past couple of weeks, preparing for this conversation, really what I believe that this is going to help enable is really removing all of these unintended frictions that are part of tedious tasks and things that you need to do in order to create digital solutions for millions of consumers. So there's a lot of like unnecessary waste also as part of a byproduct of that. So I think it's really going to be removing the frictions. And, I like this metaphor of like probably 10 years ago, there was not a thing called YouTuber. Now it's a professional, and you can make a life out of it. In the same fashion, we don't know all of the doors that this is going to open. And I'm really amazed. I think, to sum it up in my opinion, and I don't know what Michael and Leo have to say if they have anything to add, but I believe one, there's a huge opportunity for anyone that is hardworking, that is of a beginner's mindset, which is a very common theme around the quality engineering field in general, and anyone of curious heart to dive right in, right? So, in terms of not being afraid, and specifically and now selfishly for MagnifAI, it's kind of spoiler alert almost. We're super excited because of some upcoming product announcement that we're going to be making very shortly. So stay tuned in a couple of weeks that we're going to announce some cool stuff.
Any hint we can give us as a taster?
Is this going to be like, the fake announcement that I like fake, oh, did I say it or something? So we'll save that for later. But, in general, that's our vision, right? And in general, we feel, of course, there's concerns and there's new standards. I mean, we don't need to be naive about it. There's a lot of privacy concerns, and our vision, and we connect with enterprises that connect with millions of consumers. So we have a huge responsibility on doing that safely, taking care of their privacy, their data. But in a lot of ways, it's like Michael was saying before, this is like pre-internet era conversations of, that's the code that you do in Stack Overflow, and we have a lot of policies. So there's a lot of new standards to be created, and we're all making part of this journey. I don't know if Leo or Michael have anything to add, but that's kind of our vision. But again, if you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend this article that Martin wrote. That I don't know, it's very eloquently put.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting view to kind of being able to separate what are the burdensome tasks that we have to do to get the job done, and the things where we can actually, let's say, thrive into how we can actually deliver something, and things that we're interested in building and doing, and things like that, and totally leveraging AI and generative AI to actually drive that. Because it is my external view as an outsider from this enormous field, that there are a lot of things that actually, from the QA perspective, you have to do, but get kind of buried down below the complexity and these frictions that you were mentioning. And so we're going to start seeing, oh, this is what you do. Oh, this is what makes this person such good in what they do. This is the kind of the perspective that we're looking for, like a higher level, not of consciousness, but a higher level of working kind of dynamics. I think that's super interesting. I don't know, Leo or Michael, if you have any extra comments. Sorry if I went a little bit off.
No. Just to add one thing related to what Nahuel said before. So remember that the AI generative models and all the machine learning models are based on algorithms, right? So, and who create the algorithms? The humans. So I don't think that the artificial intelligence and generative AI will take part of our job or responsibility. So we can put focus in generating all the knowledge that we need to have in order to obtain good answers, good responses, and good results from the algorithms and from the generative AI systems. Right. So I think that the idea now is try to generate the best kind of knowledge in order to interact, to prompt these models, right? Mm-hmm. So when we talk about, again, generating test cases, running test scripts, these are basically automated things, right? It's just a question of time, right? So we can save a lot of time, but in addition, we can put the focus on generating the knowledge that then the machine learning algorithm we use in order to retrieve better results. It's like a virtuous cycle.
Absolutely. And that's probably going to drive up kind of the minimum viable requirements, because let's say we have given a lot of time to verify the quality of an application. If we can do it faster, it's not just like, oh yeah, we're done. We're going to be discovering things that, how did we not test this before? How did we not validate this before? How were we shipping software like that? And we're going to discover a lot of that about, now this is the new standard. Now this is the new bar. Now this is the minimum required to say that we have done our job in assuring the quality there. So that's going to be very interesting to learn about and to know about.
There's something in Shay that, and I'll make a cue on something that, because we had a very interesting conversation with Michael the other day, and Michael doesn't know, but yesterday I was talking to my wife about something that he mentioned last night. And this is probably only going to make sense for Michael, my wife, and my father, probably. So like back in the day, I remember like the kind of conversations I was using at school to do my homework, Microsoft Encarta, that I don't know, like back in the day, like pre-Wikipedia days. And it was like very internet days, and like, okay, and now the standard, I was like, was that replacing my school teacher? No, it really was like enabling the conversation. I had like more access to information. And I don't know, Michael, like if you want to touch around that, because it was like very interesting, and I was given this metaphor of like, this is like my, I don't know, like primary school homework back in the day conversations with Microsoft Encarta, but you know, the 2023 version of it. And I don't know, you had like very interesting thoughts around that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting because essentially we become the people who kind of like guide the process, right? So you had Microsoft Encarta, you're able to go and get questions and answers and stuff like this, but you have to basically sort of like apply your judgment to this sort of thing, and then basically it triggers more questions, right? And I think, you know, like what you were saying earlier, JJ, it's kind of like, you know, things aren't going to go and just sort of stand still, where it's like you do what you were doing yesterday, and you basically have done all the quality assurance you need. Because these tools are much faster, we're going to be basically going and driving them rather hard. Basically, people are going to expect more from the software. Okay, so if people are worried about creativity and the software industry, I think we're going to be about to go through a boom. That's just my suspicion with this.
Yeah, I like the Encarta mentioning, because it feels like the Wikipedia rabbit hole. You know, you go looking for a movie character and you end up reading about black holes and the I don't know what relativity theory and anything else. Anyway, so I believe this is really insightful. Thank you for sharing your input. And these are exciting times, and there's still much to be unveiled about the potential of AI and open generative AI platforms in general. So the digital world is constantly evolving, and we must keep pace to use it to our advantage. So I think we have some questions from the audience. So let's bring back all the speakers and tackle those questions. Hey everyone, welcome back. So the first question, and I think we briefly touched about this, is about what do you think about AI replacing manual labor? What are your opinions in regards to AI as replacements for current jobs in the market? Anyone dares to answer this?
Yes, and again, as we mentioned before, so I think that we are generating models that can obtain we can obtain different outputs based on the knowledge that we have and the kind of questions that we made and the different information in which we can feed those models. So again, I don't think that AI will replace us as a part. We are talking about the testing field in particular, but again, can help us to be more focused on different tasks related to the generation of knowledge, on building a knowledge database, and define better prompts instead of manual or repetitive tasks. I think that all the different tasks will be some kind, I don't know, maybe reformulated, but I think I don't believe in that concept that AI will replace us, because someone needs to create the algorithms, perform trainings of the models, but on the contrary, it will help us a lot to be focused on in the generation of knowledge that definitely will bring us more accurate result for the artificial intelligence. I know someone else have another opinion, but that's my humble.
I agree with Theo. I think that it's more of a collaboration between humans and AI. I think, we're running a risk of over relying on some of this automation. And I think, at a risk of being de-skilled. And I think that's something that businesses should take into consideration. One of the examples that come to mind is the tragic Boeing crashes that were attributed to the airline pilots' reliance on AI and navigation that's provided by the software, something that could have been avoided if they had maintained some of their manual piloting skills. And so I think that it's a way to really rethink how do we work well with it and just leverage it as to better enable our life, but not to over rely on it.
That's a really interesting point about how much do we need them or how much can we leverage them, and being able to separate the two. So we have a question now from Juan Pablo Rojas that says, given how fast these AI technologies are evolving, it feels like the challenge of keeping up to date is harder than ever. How do you think we can effectively stay focused on building, knowing that a new tool or technology could make our work obsolete in a matter of months? Who dares to?
Yeah, I'll step in for a second. I think it's an interesting thing with this, that this is basically the startup dilemma in general, right? It's kind of like every startup basically deals with this particular thing. The thing is, the cycles are going to become much, much faster. So it's not like there's an easy answer with this, but I think that the main thing really is to basically focus on what you can supply in the market as customer value. the means that you use to go and actually get customer value may change. You may go and discover that some of the tooling that you're building to go and sort of like deliver this becomes obsoleted. You may be able to go and sort of like buy something from somebody else. But if you focus on what the core thing is that the user needs, quite often that's a more durable goal than actually sort of like becoming the best at basically, building out this particular aspect of technology. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge going forward. And I think the market is going to reward, fast to market people. And the big thing for us also is to basically be very, very careful to sort of like pull the plug on things that aren't quite working in order to go and actually sort of free ourselves up to do the things that will be working. So this is really the startup dilemma, but just kind of like collapsed in a way.
Yeah, and I agree with Michael, and kind of phrasing it more from a personal perspective of how do I keep up in this day and age of AI and make sure that I remain relevant. I think the biggest thing is focusing on the fundamentals. I know that the joke is AI is just math. Really strengthen your mathematical knowledge. All the problems tackled by AI are concepts around probability, I think, linear algebra, calculus, statistics. So really strengthen that. And models are built around rules and logic. So if you have that basis of foundational knowledge, I think that you can empower yourself to better evaluate new tools and new technologies that come out so that you can make the decision for yourself whether or not this is a worthy investment of your time to learn this new tool and new technology to keep up with the market.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment about kind of strengthening the muscle. Like if you've been working with sequence-to-sequence models and neural networks, and then you have foundation LLMs, adopting them is straightforward. If you never touch that, then it's a whole kind of climbing the hill. But Michael, you said something about pulling the plug. And so I'm going to go for the spicy question now, which is from Juan Sebastián Rodríguez Álvarez, that is asking, are you for or against the proposal by Elon Musk and other CEOs to stop for a moment the advances of to the public of AI?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been paying attention to that conversation quite a bit, and I don't really know where I fall on that. I think one of the arguments that's made is that actually having a pause in AI research is not actually going to go and do very much, and there's even a question of whether people will actually pause in doing this. That said, I think that this really is a very interesting moment for AI because we are on the cusp of basically having far more capable models. I don't really know what the answer is, but I think that we're really at a point now where there needs to be like a society-wide conversation about where this stuff goes. And regardless of whether we have a pause, I think that we're on the cusp of having that as well.
I can complement to some thoughts around that. So there's, when was this? I think last Friday, I was listening to a YouTube conversation between Jan LeCun and Andrew and Xi, that they're kind of in one side of the conversation. And, I think if like any two sides, I don't think that there's anyone is right or wrong. I think some of the concerns that everyone is like raising, they're real. And some of the conversations around continue to do research, we as humans typically learn also by doing, right? So it's not that we need to be reckless about it by any means. That's not what I'm saying. But also we learn by doing, and we learn by understanding and discovering these new things. So I think both sides of the kind of conversation have merits. To one on the concerns and around how things, in general, all of the transformations that we have had as humans, they have gone through cycles that have been in general way slower than these ones, right? So that's kind of one of the areas of concerns. Then centralization and making misusage of these technologies is another side of the conversation. But we need more research and we need more tools for creators, and that both things are equally true, I believe. At Globant in particular, and I'm a proud Glober that I joined from an acquired company many years ago, and I was amazed by how much, even back in 2014, Globant was talking about AI, which for me was like science fiction. And we do have an AI manifesto, like many large companies also do, in terms of our mission, our principles, and we're very explicit about what we will not support as well. So I think every company in the space needs to have a point of view and a responsible one. And if you want to check out more, you can check more at globant.com, AI manifesto, and you'll see more around our position, and we're very passionate on the matter, so we're happy to have conversations with anyone offline of the audience. So feel free to reach out. I think we're all learning and growing in the space.
Right.
I have one point to kind of just very quick point to add to Noel's, because his comment, we learn by doing, I think that that's an important aspect. And if we're tying it kind of back to regulations and privacy laws and kind of controlling some of the usage, I think we're really law and regulation in general is very reactive and not proactive. And so some of these use cases need to come out for us to then consider and have the conversation of, do we need to regulate this?
Yeah, that requires a whole other webinar if you want to. I'm up for the discussion because I'm very interested in your thoughts on that. But something that we just touched is about, well, whether AI should stop development or what do we develop instead and how we adapt to that. And so I want to leverage the MagnifAI team here to ask them, as Jose Valerio is asking, what are MagnifAI's plans for the future in light of the market's aggressive product launches, particularly in this environment of rising competition? And what do you think about this generative AI legislation and how it will affect various goods we offer?
Do you want to take it, Leo?
Yes, sure. Actually, today in MagnifAI, we are watching, we are observing how different technologies are being available day by day in order to improve all of these processes regarding testing and development. I think that the strategy is to provide to all the testers and quality assurance engineers, different kind of models, a different kind of APIs, and different kind of data set. Why not? Specifically training and designing for testing purposes, right? I think that the most important part is to take advantage of the different technologies that are appearing to us day by day and see how we can improve the end-to-end testing process as a part of the delivery cycle. So we think that all the models, all the algorithms, and all the data can be optimized to provide the quality assurance people better algorithms and better tools to increase their productivity in the field of software testing. I don't know if it's answered the question, but that's the vision of our overview.
And anyone also that is a Glober, we're happy to chat offline. I know that there's a lot of questions from people in the audience from Globant. I think for us, what Michael was saying before, anyone that has read kind of lean startup type books and so on are able to, how can I say, it's kind of at the crux of any innovator's dilemma type situation, right? So that's not foreign to us. So early in the year, we went back to the drawing board, and we feel that AI is at the core of what we do. It's not something that we added to the roadmap one day or another. So really, I think staying true to our product's vision, purpose, and so on is key to differentiate ourselves. But I think we're all in an urgency to move fast, innovate, and I think that's true for every company out there.
Right, thanks. And since we're talking about kind of the plans and tools and things like that, are there any, Ratika Garg asks, are there any tools recommended by this panel to help prioritize tests based on code changes?
MagnifAI.
MagnifAI.
MagnifAI, totally. Yeah,
absolutely.
We have different options, but yes. So basically, the combination of natural language processing, computer vision, and this kind of stuff is helpful. But MagnifAI also provide a lot of things to prioritize, analyze, and create test cases, test scripts, and different test plans. So I recommend definitely MagnifAI, of course.
There's this other one, what's MagnifAI? Yeah, MagnifAI.
The first and the last. And finally, Josie Andrade is asking, how secure is data when dealing with generative AI tools like ChatGPT for testing?
I think that the right answer is we don't know, right? And because of today is totally uncertainly what happens when we interact with ChatGPT and other kind of tools, because when we talk about ChatGPT, we're talking about a specific product, right? We are talking about a specific implementation of GPT technologies. And of course, and definitely, we need to take care about our privacy. And in the same way that we are not posting code everywhere, of course, the idea is not provide any kind of sensitive information to this kind of platform because they run on the cloud. So we don't know what happened there. Instead of that, maybe in the future, will be a valid option to have our own models, our own pre-trained models. So all the data will be just like a database. So we are not afraid of databases because the databases, suppose that we have a database with all the knowledge on their own infrastructure. So we are not afraid of that. So I think in the same way, we need to have a vision in order to create our own chat GPTs for private use, I think. But definitely, I won't post any kind of sensitive information on ChatGPT or any other tools. Definitely.
I mean, we have the just to add on the cautionary tale of what we recently saw in the news of, Samsung leaking some semiconductor plans because of employees utilizing technologies like ChatGPT, which is an open platform. So people should be mindful that a lot of that data does get recirculated to retrain and then re-answer some questions that other people might pose.
That's a great point. We still need to do a sensible use of the tools. We might say that they're intelligent, not sensible. So it's good to always remember that. And now for the final question, since we're going a little bit over time, a question to all the panel. Do you think there is any technology that currently we can call AGI, even if sparks of AGI? You can go by yes or no if you don't want to elaborate. Or maybe.
I will go in the philosophical true sense, no.
Right.
Likewise, I agree. There's still interesting things, in terms that there was like a lot of like Twitter activity with technologies on, how you're able like to connect with people and have a conversation with maybe someone that is an artist that is no longer here and things like that. So I don't know, there's things that they resemble almost like a Black Mirror chapter episode, if you will. So like I agree with Josie in the true sense, no, but we're expanding more and more. So I believe that there's like components of things that expand human capabilities, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think with AGI, it's kind of like, it's very subjective, right? It's kind of like, and I think, we used to fall back on the Turing test, which is basically if you're talking to something and you don't know whether it's actually an artificial intelligence or not, then it is artificially intelligent, right? I think we're kind of like in that space for a lot of things right now. But I think the deeper philosophical questions, like Josie was getting back to, it's like we're just going to have to sort those out in society and see what where it goes.
All right. So I think that's all for today. I want to thank our amazing panel of speakers for the time and their valuable contributions to the topic and their efforts to shed light on the ways in which AI is transforming the software development and testing landscape. And thank you all for joining us today. I hope you find this webinar insightful. And you can scan a QR code when the event is finished for your NFT. We look forward to seeing you all in the future webinars and events. Thank you.